The world is lonely right now. People are cooped up in their homes, many are anxious about how to survive in circumstances that the system is utterly incapable of dealing with. Many are completely alone, while others are with people they'd rather not be with, which functionally just makes them feel as isolated as if they were alone. The solutions to the problems facing us seem to stretch far beyond what would be possible to us even under normal circumstances, but when we feel isolated in the face of everything, well, it's hard to make that feeling any worse. I certainly don't mean to imply that music is a proper substitute for either meaningful social interaction or mass organizing to hang the bourgeoisie and take back the value of our labor, but I do believe in art's ability to heal and motivate by communicating a mindset, an aesthetic, and emotional experience, and a set of priorities. And for me, in these isolated times, I've found my mind drifting really frequently to one of the great lost pop albums of all time, Tally Hall's Marvin's Marvelous Mechanical Museum. Tally Hall is a fascinating band, a band that fully embraced its existence in the internet age, a band that if you have a passing familiarity with any of its songs, it's probably because you heard them in a meme context, a band that produced a dearth of total material but certainly made a large impression on those who are a part of its cult following, a band whose two most famous members are Joe Hawley, who you may know for his bonkers masterpiece Hawaii Part 2 under the name Musical Miracle, and Rob Cantor, who you may know for a few pop songs that got popular on YouTube, a bunch of music for Disney Junior, and the Shia LaBeouf song. The music and history of Tally Hall and all the solo projects that can be traced back to it is really fascinating and would probably make for a good video, but today I'd like to focus just on the first of their two proper albums, and definitely what the vast majority of fans would consider to be their definitive statement. Marvin's Marvelous Mechanical Museum has a general creative philosophy that would be well familiar to anyone who's listened to any quirky rock band with a flippant approach to genre. You know, your Weens, your Mr. Bungles, your King Gizzards. And like the best of those bands, the wide variety in styles they tackle is glued together by a unifying character. Humorous, good-natured, extremely melodic with a very distinct musical language. Like, I don't know anything about music theory, but I sure can tell you when something sounds like Tally Hall, and often a layer of subversion or crypticness in the lyrics. I have a hard time satisfactorily explaining the overall energy of this album besides, like, good boys? This is the ultimate good boy album. Look at these good boys! It's tempting just to rattle off all the great tracks on this album because there is so many. There's different flavors of semi-proggy art pop, like the opening Good Day, Take It For A Ride, and my personal favorite, Spring and a Storm, all of which are effortlessly catchy and fun, but also develop and switch things up in really interesting ways. And they all vary in tone, too, with Good Day feeling celebratory, Take It For A Ride ends up kinda existentially terrifying, and Spring in a Storm takes that existential terror and tries to comfort you about it. This isn't even bringing up the penultimate track, Ruler of Everything, which I have no idea how to explain that one, but it's absolutely amazing. And of course, we have our genre riffs, since we pretty much have to have those for this kind of album. Banana Man is the Calypso knockoff, whose earworm quality is impressively persistent in a way that actually kind of surprised me. Greener is an extremely tasty power pop song, not the only song to have that flavor on this album, but it's certainly more of a focus. Be Born is a country-ish, folky tune with really adorable lyrics, that kind of stuff. I also probably couldn't talk about this album without touching on some of the weirder track concepts scattered throughout. Certainly your mileage may vary on them, but I love all of them. I'm thinking particularly of tracks like Welcome to Tally Hall, where they're trading off white boy rap verses, or Haiku, which shoves a bunch of broken haikus into its lyrics, but probably the most memorable of these is Twoo Wov, an extremely unsubtle riff on Pinkerton-era Weezer, being a growly guitar-based power pop song about stalking the Olsen twins. I mean, what else do you need? But beyond just being a colorful, effortlessly catchy, and inspiringly creative collection of pop songs, what brings Marvin's Marvelous Mechanical Museum to mind for me these days is the sense of friendly, melting pot camaraderie all across the album. In times when I'm feeling isolated, it's extremely comforting to listen to music that sounds like it was made by great friends, enthusiastically bouncing ideas off of one another and having a blast making songs. It's even more healing when the music is so friendly and bouncy and personable that it feels almost like you're actually in that group of friends, that the whole album is a shared experience, an inside joke, something that doesn't require an explanation because you're here for it. A lot of us are currently seeing and being seen by the same people every single day, and I can't help but think a lot of us would benefit from an album that's genuinely happy to see you. An album that'll shake your hand and tell you it's so glad you even really truly came. I'm trying to make a video a month and I'm getting the March video in really close to the deadline, but I don't think anyone will know.